I love food. Like many Latinx families, my family's culture is centered around the kitchen. We bond over preparing and enjoying food, and to this day, the simple rituals we have around food mean the world to me. For most of my childhood, I had a pretty healthy relationship with food. However, as I got older, I began to feel unsatisfied with my body. It wasn't long before I started swinging between restriction and binging, behaviors that were not good for my physical or my mental health. Because I was dissatisfied with my body, I no longer enjoyed the foods that I used to love, and instead of being in the moment and enjoying time with family, I spent my time feeling self-conscious and uncomfortable. Now that I'm on my way to recovery, I look back and regret the years of my life that I spent seeking perfection. However, at the time, I felt like my body and weight defined who I was and the way others perceived me. I never felt good enough. Unfortunately, my experience is common. Weight stigma is pervasive in every aspect of our culture, and many people find themselves struggling with negative body image and eating disorders. Intuitive eating helps people develop a healthy relationship with food, their bodies, and themselves. In short, intuitive eating reminds us of how we ate as children, without guilt, with pure enjoyment. It seems easy, but after years of restriction, allowing yourself to eat can be very difficult and requires a great deal of self-compassion. My research project focused on the relationship between self-compassion and intuitive eating in college women. I had initially thought that because the practice of intuitive eating involves consciously being self-compassionate, intuitive eating would build self-compassion skills, leading to higher rates of self-compassion. However, it seems that the inverse relationship is true. Most studies highlighted the fact that self-compassion is the behavior that leads to higher rates of intuitive eating. In order for people to adopt intuitive eating and other positive health behaviors, people need to be compassionate with themselves. I contacted Dr. Thomas Plant, a health psychologist and psychology professor at Santa Clara University, about his experience with clients seeking to adopt healthier habits and the role of self-compassion. He told me, "People can be very hard on themselves, and I have several patients now with these issues. We discuss self-compassion and related topics like self-forgiveness and letting go of perfectionism. We are all human and all fail at times. We are all complicated, and sometimes the better and sometimes the darker angels of our nature are revealed. I quote Romans a lot in that all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Helping people with realistic expectations of themselves and others help too." According to a recent study in the journal Eating Behaviors, those who use self-compassion to deal with body image inflexibility and feelings of dissatisfaction are better able to eat intuitively rather than resort to restrictive dietary habits. A study by Drs. Jennifer B. Webb and Abigail S. Hardin from the University of North Carolina at Charlotte provided more evidence for the relationship between self-compassion and higher rates of healthy behavior, including intuitive eating. Their study found a protective relationship between self-compassion and intuitive eating. Stereotypes and derogatory beliefs surrounding fatness are internalized and affect women's ability to listen to their bodies and eat intuitively. However, Webb and Hardin found that women who practiced self-compassion had higher rates of intuitive eating than women who internalized weight bias and had low self-compassion and body image inflexibility. Another study in the journal Body Image studied the relationship between body acceptance, intuitive eating, and the motivations for exercising. The study found that body acceptance served as a mediator between body acceptance by others and intuitive eating. In other words, women who accept their bodies are more likely to engage in intuitive eating and have healthy relationships with exercise, regardless of what they perceive their friends and family members to think about their body. These studies are just a few of many that are being conducted as the concept of intuitive eating gains traction among dietitians and other health professionals. It is time that we reclaim our bodies, our favorite foods, and our self love.